The morning after the successful night shoot, the crew woke up to a breathtaking sunrise that bathed the Dai village in a warm, golden haze. Tian Xiwei was already awake, sitting by the open wooden window of her dressing room, letting the cool mountain breeze sweep across her face as the makeup artists prepared her for the day. For today's schedule, her Dai costume had been changed into a lighter, more ethereal ensemble of pastel peach and ivory silks, adorned with delicate silver leaf patterns that symbolized renewal in the blooming spring. The intricate silver headdress was swapped for a simpler, elegant arrangement of fresh white jasmine flowers woven delicately into her dark hair, filling the room with a sweet, calming fragrance. Across the corridor, Zhang was undergoing his own morning transformation, stepping into a completely new variation of traditional Dai attire tailored specifically for the festival scenes. His new costume featured a deep indigo tunic layered with an open-weave linen vest, embroidered with subtle silver water waves along the hemline. The heavy metal armor from the previous day was replaced by lighter, polished silver clasps in a woven sash that hugged his tall frame with effortless elegance. When he stepped out into the hallway, his natural height and poise made the traditional garments look like high couture, a seamless blend of historical heritage and modern aesthetic appeal. The scene scheduled for the morning was a grand celebration sequence in the village square, where the main characters would join the local villagers in a traditional peacock dance. Director Lin wanted authenticity, so local elders and professional dancers had been brought in to teach Xiwei and Linghe the precise, graceful movements required for the performance. Xiwei took to the choreography instantly, her arms moving with fluid grace, mimicking the gentle arch of a bird's neck as her peach-colored silk sleeves billowed in the morning wind. Linghe stood opposite her, learning the footwork with a focused intensity, his tall frame adding a striking visual contrast to her delicate, bird-like movements. As the music began to play, driven by the rhythmic beating of elephant foot drums and the hauntingly sweet melodies of bamboo flutes, the atmosphere in the square transformed entirely. Xiwei spun gracefully, her silk skirts flaring out in a perfect circle of pastel hues, while Linghe stepped in rhythm, his hands outstretched in a protective, guiding gesture that matched the choreography's narrative of courtship and mutual devotion. The onlookers and extras broke into spontaneous applause between takes, completely captivated by the sheer visual harmony and emotional resonance the two actors brought to the ancient dance form. Midway through the dance sequence, a sudden tropical downpour swept over the valley, catching everyone by surprise as heavy raindrops began to pelt the cobblestones. The crew scrambled to cover the expensive camera equipment with waterproof tarps, shouting instructions over the sudden roar of the rain hitting the banana leaves. Instead of running for shelter, Xiwei threw her head back and laughed aloud, the rain instantly catching the fresh jasmine flowers in her hair and plastering stray locks against her glowing cheeks. Linghe immediately grabbed a large woven bamboo umbrella from a nearby prop station, rushing over to shield her from the heaviest downpour before she could catch a chill. Standing close together beneath the single umbrella, with the rain drumming a steady, rhythmic beat against the woven bamboo roof, the world around them seemed to shrink to a radius of just a few inches. Linghe held the umbrella high with one hand to accommodate his height, while his other hand instinctively rested on the small of Xiwei's back to steady her on the slick, wet stones. Water droplets glistened on his eyelashes, and his dark eyes softened as he looked down at her, a quiet, unspoken tenderness passing between them that transcended the scripted romance of their characters. Xiwei smiled up at him, her fingers lightly brushing against the sleeve of his wet tunic, anchoring him in the middle of the sudden storm. The rain passed as quickly as it had arrived, leaving behind a glistening, hyper-vivid landscape where every leaf looked polished and the air smelled intensely of wet earth and tropical blossoms. Director Lin seized the opportunity to capture the post-rain atmosphere, adjusting the shot to utilize the natural puddles as giant mirrors reflecting the actors and the vibrant village architecture. With the sun breaking through the clouds in dramatic shafts of golden light, Xiwei and Linghe delivered a poignant dialogue scene by the edge of a lotus pond, the floating pink blossoms framing them like a living painting. Their delivery was flawless, charged with an electric tension that had the entire crew watching in spellbound silence. As the afternoon progressed, the production moved to a scenic bamboo bridge crossing a rushing turquoise river just outside the village borders. This location served as a backdrop for a dramatic parting scene, where their characters had to temporarily separate due to rival clan politics. The visual contrast of the location, rushing, powerful water below and the fragile, delicate bamboo bridge above, mirrored the emotional turmoil of the script. Xiwei stood near the center of the bridge, her pastel silks catching the wind, while Linghe's character hesitated a few steps away, his expression a masterclass in restrained longing and quiet anguish. When the director called action, Xiwei delivered her lines with a fierce, independent spirit, her eyes flashing with unshed tears that added a raw, heartbreaking authenticity to the moment. Linghe stepped forward, closing the distance between them with a desperate urgency, his hands gently gripping her shoulders as if refusing to let her slip away. The chemistry was so intense and palpable that when the scene cut, neither of them moved immediately, remaining locked in that close embrace for several seconds until the director gently called out over the megaphone that they had nailed the take on the very first try. With the dramatic heavy lifting of the day behind them, the mood on set shifted instantly from heartbreak to light-hearted celebration. The crew began setting up for a festive night market sequence, complete with glowing paper lanterns, sizzling street food stalls, and hundreds of enthusiastic background extras. Xiwei and Linghe retreated to the makeup trailers for a quick touch-up, emerging shortly after in even more vibrant costumes for the night festival. Xiwei now wore a deep ruby red bodice paired with a black and gold woven skirt that shimmered like firelight, while Linghe sported a midnight blue robe accented with intricate gold embroidery along the collar and cuffs. Walking through the recreated night market hand in hand, they sampled local delicacies between takes, laughing as they shared a stick of traditional dye-grilled fish spiced with local herbs and lemongrass. The playful banter between them kept the crew energized despite the late hour, with Linghe playfully teasing Xiwei about her love for spicy food and Xiwei retaliating by challenging him to a bamboo stilt walking contest right there on the dusty path. Their infectious joy created a family-like atmosphere on set, proving that their stellar on-screen chemistry was deeply rooted in a genuine, joyful friendship built on mutual respect and shared exhaustion. As the night deep panned into the early hours of the morning, the final shot of the sequence required them to release a glowing sky lantern together into the star-filled tropical night. They stood side by side on a grassy knoll overlooking the entire illuminated village, their hands both touching the delicate paper frame of the lantern as the internal flame warmed their palms. With a synchronized count, they let go, watching as the glowing orb drifted slowly upward into the dark sky, joining a constellation of other lanterns released by the background cast. The camera panned up to capture their faces illuminated by the warm, orange glow of the ascending light, freezing a moment of pure, cinematic perfection. Director Lin's final cut echoed through the quiet night, followed immediately by a roaring cheer and the sound of popping champagne corks as the cast and crew celebrated the completion of another major milestone for Chang Ting Season 2 *. Xiwei turned to Linghe with a triumphant smile, throwing her arms around his neck in a spontaneous hug of celebration, while he effortlessly swung her around in a circle as laughter erupted all around them. The heavy gold and silver ornaments chimed in a joyous symphony, marking the end of a physically demanding yet artistically triumphant block of shooting that would leave fans breathless when the season finally aired.